Chapter 1, The Mask of Serenity. Deborah had always been the epitome of calm. At the quaint St. Augustine's church, she was known as the quiet soul with a kind smile, her graceful presence welcomed by all. Each Sunday, she donned her polished shoes and modest dresses, her hair neatly pinned up, embodying the archetype of the church lady. Perhaps it was the consistency, the peace of life amongst the stained glass windows, but something simmered beneath her serene exterior, a restless heart yearning for chaos. It was during the annual church picnic that she met him, Kellen. He was a wolf amongst lambs, a chaotic storm that disrupted the placid waters of her existence. His leather jacket clung to his shoulders, arms adorned with tattoos that whispered secrets of rebellion. Kellen moved with an unsettling confidence, like a dark knight in a world of angels, and for Deborah, he was the temptation she didn't know she craved. Chapter 2, The Lure of Danger. Their attraction ignited instantaneously, a flicker turning into a blaze. Kellen was the embodiment of all Deborah secretly desired. When he approached her, his smile was magnetic, pulling her further into a realm where safety melted away. Their conversations were laced with flirtation, each word a dance, each laugh an invitation to explore the abyss. "What's a girl like you doing in a place like this?" he'd tease, a smirk tilting the corner of his mouth. "Oh, I could ask you the same, Kellen," she replied, surprised at her own daring. The thrill of his gaze ignited something wild within her, a part she had kept buried, the alter ego that flourished in the shadows. The flame of lust quickly consumed them. Their rendezvous began simply enough, stolen kisses behind the church, whispered confessions in the dead of night. Yet with every touch, every gasp, the beast within her awoke. Within Kellen's touch was danger, the promise of sin, and Deborah was more than willing to embrace it. Chapter 3, The Descent into Darkness. What began as stolen moments turned into fervent rendezvous at deserted motels. Kellen revealed a world to Deborah filled with raw passion. The nights were alive with whispered secrets, heavy with lust and danger. Yet, with each escapade, she felt the line between right and wrong blurring, casting shadows that danced ominously in her mind. "Why do you play it so safe, Deborah?" Kellen asked one night, his voice low, laced with a dangerous longing. "You're too beautiful to hide behind that little church. Let me show you what it feels like to live." His words were a poison that flooded her veins, intoxicating and thrilling. But it was in his gaze, dark and smoldering, that she saw the truth, an allure draped in danger, a promise of chaos waiting to unfold. She was entranced. Yet as the weeks passed, the thrill of indulgence began to twist like a knife in her gut. Kellen's world was not just filled with passion, it was wrapped in shadows. Rumors brewed in the dimly lit corners of their encounters, whispers of illicit dealings and a past stained with violence. The unmistakable scent of danger clung to him, a sweet perfume that both exhilarated and terrified her. Chapter 4, The Catalyst of Chaos. One fateful night, while the moon hung low and heavy in the night sky, the chaos broke loose. Deborah and Kellen found themselves in a hotel room peppered with cigarette burns and shadows lingering in the corners. Their laughter echoed like whispered secrets until the door suddenly crashed open, shattering the fragile facade of safety they had constructed. A man stormed in, rough, wild, with fury painted across his features. He was a ghost from Kellen's past, bringing with him the stench of violence, the taste of fear. "Get away from her!" The man's voice growled, low and threatening, but the wild spark in Kellen's eyes transfixed Deborah. She froze, the weight of the moment sinking in, her heart pounding in erratic beats against her chest. "Stay out of this, Rick." Kellen shot back, movements tense, each word dripping with the chaos that enveloped their lives. But it was too late. The room erupted into a furious brawl, shadows twisting violently against the walls as primal screams clawed their way into the night. Deborah stood frozen, the realization striking her, she was in too deep, tangled in a web of dangerous seduction, and the thrill she had sought now terrified her. Chapter 5, The Haze of Obsession. The confrontation left Deborah shaken, yet a twisted part of her craved the danger more than ever. Kellen, bruised and battered but holding on to his dark charisma, drew closer to her in the aftermath. "I told you, sweet Deborah, you don't know what living is until you walk on the edge," he murmured, his breath hot against her skin. In that moment, Deborah felt an unsettling mixture of fear and desire. The urgency of their connection intensified, binding them even tighter in the chains of obsession. She had entered a world where she yearned for Kellen's chaos while her heart battled screams for escape. Kellen began to introduce her to his life, a world filled with depraved nights and untamed pleasures. They danced through illicit gatherings, the line blurring further until the day-to-day life she once known felt foreign. With every ride on his motorcycle, every embrace coded in danger, she felt herself slip further away from the serene girl the church knew. Chapter 6, The Breaking Point. As love blossomed amidst chaos, so too did Deborah's changes. The whispers of her friends grew louder in her mind, echoing in her heart. "He's not the one for you," they'd say, raising red flags she desperately tried to ignore. But the warmth of Kellen's attention countered their fears, wrapping her in an intoxicating embrace. But soon, the passion began morphing into something darker. Kellen's mood swings became tempestuous, handing Deborah emotional torment masked as love. "You're mine, Deborah. No one else can have you," he'd hiss, a possessiveness smoldering in his gaze that left her shivering yet yearning for more. The church lady who once represented peace was now a figure cradled within chaos, the shadows wrapping around her existence. Chapter 7, The Final Confrontation. The illusion shattered one evening when, after an exhausting day at the church, Deborah returned home to find Kellen waiting for her, angrier than she had ever seen him. "You've been hiding from me," he yelled, his fury wrapping around her like a vice. She felt the air grow thick as emotions bubbled between them. "I'm not hiding." Deborah could barely whisper, her voice trembling. But it only fueled his rage. "Why do you care about that life?" Kellen shouted, stepping closer, invading her space. The wildness in his eyes frightened her, the manic energy thrumming through the air. "This is where we need to be, together, Deborah. Not hiding like a coward." In that moment, the very sweetness of their connection seemed to turn to ash in her mouth. Desperation mixed with fear as she realized the truth. He held her heart in a gilded cage. The darkness he brought into her life had morphed into a monstrous reflection of what love should be. "No, Kellen. I can't do this anymore," she managed to cry, her voice breaking amidst the chaos. "This isn't love." His expression changed, fury morphing into despair as confusion washed over his face. For a brief moment, just a moment, his walls crumbled, and she saw the boy who was lost beneath the dark facade. The raw vulnerability shattered her, making her heart ache. But the moment slipped away, and the raging tempest began anew. "You're mine, Deborah. You don't get to leave me." Chapter 8, The Flight of Shadows. The moment froze in time, an echoing cacophony of shadows and light battling within her. Deborah knew she was at a crossroads between love and liberation. She needed to escape. Flee the confines of this turbulent romance before it consumes her whole. In a fit of adrenaline, she ran, she dashed out of the door, her heart racing as she fought to break free from the storm that was Kellen. Every step away felt like shedding chains, but the deeper she ventured into the night, the louder the thunder grew behind her, the haunting echo of his fury lingering in the shadows. Whispers caressed the edges of her fleeing heart, reminders of who she was meant to be before the wild, foggy visions of Kellen consumed her. In those moments of clarity, she reached out for the life she'd once treasured, the sanctuary she had thought she lost. Chapter 9, The Embrace of Dawn. Deborah found herself outside her church, breathless and trembling, under the soft embrace of dawn. The sun began to rise, illuminating the shadows she fled from. There, beneath the steeple, she felt the warmth of solace wrap around her. As she stepped inside, the familiar scents of polished wood and candle wax comforted her. These were the walls that nurtured her, where love was vast but safe. The harmony of the sanctuary washed over her like a balm, strengthening her resolve. The chaos of desire was still a lingering echo within her mind, but she knew she had a choice. Epilogue: The Shadows Within. Weeks turned into months as Deborah gradually found herself again, tending to her soul amidst the shadows of her past. Far away from Kellen, whispers of love could still be felt echoing in the vacant spaces of her heart. Yet from within those echoes, she understood the allure of chaos and darkness, the wildness that danced in her very essence. Her quiet calm returned, although the wild alter ego still lurked beneath the surface, a reminder of the thrilling dance she had almost embraced. She was stronger now, a warrior forged by the darkness yet cradled in the light. Perhaps one day, she would find a balance between the two sides of her, but for now, she was content under the sanctuary of St. Augustine's, the sun shining fiercely above, illuminating her path as she found peace once more. Stepping into the light, she whispered a silent promise to herself, to never lose sight of who she truly was again. In the embrace of dawn, she finally understood this: love, true love, existed not in the chaos that nearly consumed her but in the gentle rhythm of the heart she knew best. And perhaps, just perhaps, amidst the shadows of her desire, she could find the courage to embrace both sides of herself, the calm church lady and the wild woman waiting to dance.